Hi everybody, welcome back to another very exciting Adobe Live. I am your host, Jesus Ramirez, and with me again today we have Kladi from Printmysoul.
Hello everyone.
I don't think you need a lot of introduction. I'm sure everyone in the chat knows who you are. But Kladi is back for day number 2 of Editorial Design.
Woo!
Yay! And I'm looking at the chat. We have Lindsay, Voodoo Val, Jack, RB, Stony, Edmund, Jao, Noir, Eldon, Eric. How's it going, guys? Thank you so much for being here with me today. With us today, not just me. I'm used to doing it by myself. It's all about me. Thank you for joining us today. Let us know where you're streaming from. We are in Manchester, UK. It's 8 o'clock in the evening for us, so I hope that you guys are having a wonderful morning, wonderful afternoon, or a wonderful evening, depending on where you're streaming from.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know where you're streaming from and what time it is for you. For us, we'll be done around 10 p.m., just in time for bed.
Yes. And I see so many familiar faces on the chat. I want to say hi to Valerie, Ashi, Noel, Michelle, Seth. Our friend Seth is in the chat.
Our good Seth. Our good friend Seth. Seth does some really good work. He works with Nike. Check out his Behance profile. Click on his name, and he's got some really good work.
Very amazing Photoshop. Composites or retouching.
He does really good retouching, yeah.
Nice to see you here, Noor.
2 p.m.
Noor is 11 p.m.
Florida, 3 p.m.
We're gonna keep you up.
Portugal, yeah. We're gonna keep you up, Noor. Awesome.
Carol, I can see Miguel, Eric, Malik, Mari. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this day 2 of Editorial Stream.
2. Now, before we get into it, we do have some housekeeping items. First of all, in an hour and a half, we're going to be reviewing the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge that Paul Tranny just finished. So make sure that you submit your work. If you look in the chat right above, there is a blue link that reads join the Illustrator Discord. So we're going to go into Discord, and actually, let me go there now myself. I should have had that open for you guys. But anyway, we're going to go into the...
If you want to jump on my screen.
Oh, you have it? Oh, you have it on your screen. Awesome. So we're going to jump into Kladi's screen, and you can see the Discord app. This is where you guys are going to submit your work. We did some design feedback yesterday. Paul worked on a time machine cube thing that was really cool. You guys had a lot of awesome submissions. There's one right there. And make sure that you submit your work. We're going to review it at about an hour and a half from now. So join the Discord app for this.
You want to show them out? Actually, I've got the link here.
Okay.
So
Behance.net
/Illustrator
challenge /Illustrator. That's right. And from here, you can click on that big blue button to join the challenge. You'll get notified via Creative Cloud whenever Paul goes live in the morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you're watching from. Every day, one of these boxes will unlock with a new challenge. You can always go back if you miss one and watch the video by clicking on the watch video button.
And look, they're almost done. You guys, today is challenge number 8 with the textures.
One more tomorrow. Yeah, so that's what we'll be reviewing today, the Creating Textures Challenge. So again, submit that. And yeah, we would love to see what you guys have created. Also, the schedule for the day, let's bring that up. It's a fun-filled day as usual. We started in the morning with Paula Tranny doing an Adobe Spark Getting Started session. Then Voodoo Val doing the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. She always does awesome work. And she always does awesome work on the chat as well.
Oh, yes. And thank you, Val.
Yeah, thank you, Voodoo Val. She was awesome yesterday with us, and she's awesome with everybody. And then at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, we had Christy Odom, good friend of mine. She was on with Paco talking about Lightroom presets. Then we had Paul Tranny doing the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge, which is what we just talked about. And then, again, not being biased here, but the best stream of the day, Editorial Design with Kladi from Printmysoul. After us, we'll have Howard Pinsky, my good friend Howard Pinsky, who was teaching people lip reading yesterday, I think. He had some issue with the audio to begin with.
Someone is saying, Jesus, keep reminding for the thumbs up again, please.
Yeah, you guys have to remind me about the thumbs up. All right, cool. But
He's obsessed about the like.
I'm obsessed with that like button. And then at 2:30, we have a draw along with Kyle Webster, and we're going to end the day with a design off with Voodoo Val and Cody Bear. So you have So for those people that are gonna be in Europe and Asia, they're gonna be up all night watching Adobe Live.
Yes. Stay home and watch streams and watch Adobe live streams. And I can see Paco in the chat. We miss you, Paco.
Yeah, Paco was on earlier with Christy. Awesome. Yes. All right, so are we ready to get started, or
do you want to recap what we done yesterday?
Well, what did we do yesterday? We did Photoshop. No, we did.
He was just worrying about the likes. So Mr. Ramirez was just like obsessing about the like button that is just below us. Actually, it's below you.
Well, no, it's on the. If you're watching on a desktop, there's like a circle with like a thumbs up, and I just like noticed it for the first time yesterday, and I saw that we had about 260 plus people watching, and only like, I don't know, 20 thumbs up, and I was like, hey everybody, I want you guys to click it and see if that number goes up. So you guys did click on it. The number went up to like 80, so let's try to beat it today. And like I said, we don't get anything extra out of it. I was just having fun with it. So
he's just obsessed
with it. Just click on that like button.
That was one of the topic of yesterday.
That was the topic yesterday. So anyway, what did we talk about yesterday, Mara? What are we talking about today?
Yesterday we started with menu design. There is, let me bring up, if you want to move it to my screen, we can perhaps show the brand guidelines.
Let me switch over to your screen. Sorry about that. There you are.
And if you're joining us today for the first time, I'm actually going to direct you to the resources so you can still catch up. Yesterday we started from our food menu design. Today we're going to go into the drink menu, business card, and we're going to mock them up in Photoshop and perhaps creating more fun mock-up also with the brand. But if you have not had the chance to get the items and to get the assets of the brand that we shared with you yesterday, you can do that right now by heading on iamcladi.com/resources, and you're gonna land on these lovely landing page here, and you'll be able to click on an asset folder in order to access this folder here, which contains one of the font, the menu text, so the actual copy, the text that we're going to be using to style into InDesign, and then the full branding assets, which is the logo and the illustration in an Illustrator file, and the brand manual. And probably I will start from the brand manual again, just to reintroduce, to bring us back into the mood of the client that we are talking about. We are creating a menu for a vegan eatery called Plant, and their theme is very jungly. They were trying to stay away from the usual picture of salads and beetroots and carrots. They were trying to still convey the lushness of the freshness of dealing with vegetables and with vegan food, but transferring it more in a fun, cartoony atmosphere related to the jungle, just to also showcase the strength and the power of vegan food. A lot of people, I'm not personally vegan, as I say it all the time, I'm too Italian to be vegan. I love my cheese and I love my grilled meat, but you know, a lot of people sometimes wonder if vegan food is strong enough. So when I was having this conversation with the clients, they really wanted to highlight the fact that vegan food is also very rich in proteins and very rich in nutrients. So the idea of having like a powerful animal as a cheetah, and the idea of the jungle gives the idea of, you know, richness and fullness and lushness that you can have in plants. So let's see if I can actually open this on a full screen, so should be able to do that like so, and we start to have a look at the different brand values and core. As I said, when we're talking about designing for an existing brand and a client, it's always good to go back to basics. I think that's perhaps the best trick that I can share with you in terms of working professionally. Go back to basic, make sure that your basics are done right, and once you're done and dusted, you can go ahead and start designing, and you make sure that you keep on track. So something that we always need to bear in mind are the core value of the brand, as we say: ethical, vegan, fun, healthy, compassionate, organic, and healthy. So we have a lot of these amazing plants. Of course, the logo. How can we use the logo? What color is it possible to use the logo with? What kind of contrast and combination were the ones suggested by the client?
Alok wrote, I love the typeface.
Oh, good. The typeface is actually available on Adobe Fonts website. So I don't know if you want to head on your website, maybe share it there. It's fonts.adobe.com/fonts/ Blenny. I don't know if Voodooval can help us there by sharing the link. Is fonts.adobe.com/fonts/Blenny. That will allow you to download these beautiful fonts here. And actually, I can probably zoom in over here.
I don't think I'm spelling it right. How do you spell
Here it is.
Oh, Bellini. Okay.
Yes. So it's up here. You can find it. And that's the beauty of the brand manual. The idea of having a guideline there. So if I'm passing this job to another designer or to someone who works in my team, all I have to do is pass them the InDesign file and this amazing guideline, because it will have everything that you need to understand about the elements of the business in terms, of course, of design and visual reference. And the secondary typography you can find into the resource folder, which is the drop-off folders that I've shared with you. Hopefully by the end of the day, I'm having a little bit of issue in terms of uploading, but I'm trying to share with you and to make available also the full menu set mockup. Is actually loading right now in the background, so hopefully
it'll be there before we end, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe while we do the review, I can just like
awesome
put it on my website. And that's the beauty of the live. And that's the beauty of following live. You get surprised while you go. And again, how to use the font, that's something that we're gonna that we approached already yesterday with the paragraph styles, but we're gonna dive in a little bit more today. And other icons and pictograms, so images that complement our typography and how to use them. So yes to the P, going around with the P and the illustration. There is any question? Oh, Voodooval, awesome. She also put the big noodle tilting font. I always forgot about that, yeah. But that's definitely
that
part of the
from yesterday.
Of the design. Yeah, I'm a big fan of big noodle. That was probably one of the first fonts that I used as a student, and that and Dean and Gotham are my like top 3 fonts. Pretty much 90% of the design that I've done as a student were on these fonts. And there in the chat, if you have a favorite font and if it happens to be maybe Dean or maybe Gotham, let me know, because it means that we have the same taste.
Also, shout outs to our good friend Lisa Carney, who is in the chat. Lisa is an amazing compositor. She works in the Hollywood industry. She's designed, I'm sure, a lot of movie posters that you have seen. They look fantastic. Check her out, Lisa Carney.
Can we name some of the amazing stuff that she does?
Why don't we show people what she's done?
Let's show what she does.
Finishing station.
We love you and miss you, Lisa. Hope you're staying safe. Hope everyone is staying safe.
And actually, Lisa was on Adobe Live, I want to say, like, I don't know, maybe Lisa will correct me, but like 4 months ago or something like that. And she did
some photo composite.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing work. Absolutely mind-blowing. That's the beauty of the Adobe Live community. I always learn something. I get to know amazing, fantastic, talented people, and you always learn, how to use the entire Adobe Creative Cloud environment and jumping from Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop. But I'm going to keep going while you look for Lisa.
Here we go. Really quick,
ready?
now that I
Perfect.
mentioned it. I'll just go into my screen, and this is some of Lisa's work, lisacarney.com, and I'm looking under her portfolio, theatrical, and I'm sure you have seen some of these theatrical movie posters.
Spider-Man!
I mean, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, so when I saw that, I wanted to give Lisa a bigger hug than I usually give her because they look amazing. But last May, that's when she was, wow, it's been that long, huh? I thought it was more recent than that. Wow, I thought it just happened. But anyway, yeah, you can check out her Adobe Live, and she talked about compositing and a whole bunch of cool stuff. So yeah, check Lisa out. I actually always give props to Lisa because Lisa's one of the few people that always shows me stuff in Photoshop that I don't know. When that happens, I'm like, how could I have not known this? So Lisa is awesome. Check her out. Anyway, back to Kladi's screen.
Yes.
All right, cool.
Ready. So I think it's time to jump into InDesign, and I'm actually gonna start exactly from where I left it yesterday. Yesterday we were talking about foiling, and I think we had a little bit of time, just perhaps under 1 minute. I really tried to squeeze in actually how to use foiling in printing, and I did remember to bring the foiling sample here. So what I brought is, I have a lot of different things to show you. So first of all, I'm going to show you a book, one of the books that I referenced for design. Hopefully you can see it if I put it here. And you can see the cover is foiled. So we have this beautiful metallic holographic foil on the top, but also even the title, maybe it's a little bit harder to see over here, but it's foiled in gold. So this is a print finishing, and we're gonna learn how we do set up the file in Illustrator in order to tell the printer, hey, this is gonna be gold, well, this is gonna be in color. So let's learn how to do that. And also, I've brought with me one of the samples of foil. So this is again best friend. Oh, it's green. Let me open it up so we lose the green. And so this is by Foilco, which is one of the company that I use here in the UK and that I've used for my book as well. And this is one of the swatch that they provide me with. Amazing foil. So the possibility, everyone tells me, use the foil only gold or silver. Well, that usually happens when you deal with the most standard and online printer. But when you have the opportunity, which I strongly suggest, to explore your local printers and really push it a little bit further with your print, you can have access to a wonderful, amazing color. Let me see if we can share it here. So we have silvers. Can you help me please with this? Oh yeah, maybe we can open it. Oops, no, sorry. So no.
Oh, that's green.
Yeah, they're here. So we have here silver, and we have different colors. Maybe you can see it better here. So all of these is metal color that you can apply to your print. You can see all the different effects to your print file. Either if it's a menu or if it's a book, you can find all these different opportunities.
Even in a business card, I've seen
even
it
in the business card. See, it's pretty much like a swatch with all amazing color, which are metallic, or also you can have a matte option, which is this one over here. This will be less reflective. But those are finishing. Someone yesterday mentioned also gloss. That's also a finishing that can be prepared and can be signaled to the printer in the same way that we do for the foil. And for those of you who don't know what the gloss is, that's the kind of transparent varnish that sits on top. So it doesn't apply any color. It actually looks very good when you do transparent on the same color, so without any ink. So you just have this reflective area and then matte area. But you guys really push me into the geekness of print.
Lindsay Palmer wrote, there are even faux foil effects on some digital machines. Then you can even make up your own color. I'm not familiar with it, but it sounds pretty cool.
Yes, that's so amazing. Digital machines, I think there is Indigo from HP that does very, very amazing effects. I know they definitely prints white, because that's what I've done with my book. It would have been a good idea to share it, but I have it on my website there. So you have white ink and you also have silver.
Yeah. Also, Gabrielle 6 wrote, I'm training my English listening with the live too.
I don't know what you're gonna train with my English, because my English is Italian English, and I make up 50% of the word that I say, as you probably guys noticed. But no, I'm very, very happy to have here.
He's learning Kladi English.
Yes, and Michelle is asking, and if you want embossing, well, same structure. So what you're gonna do, and I'm gonna go back and show it to you, is of course when we're talking about this finishing, you're gonna have to select a sample, either gold, standard gold, or silver, or emboss and deboss. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, perhaps it's nice to go into Google, or let's go into Behance. I do use Behance a lot for my research, so we can show what I believe Michelle was asking us regarding embossing. But the reply to that, Michelle, is that you do exactly the same process. So we're going to show how to signal when we send an InDesign file or PDF file to a printer. How do we signal which part of the file is going to have a special finishing?
Lucia wrote, I love your English, is the same as mine.
Because she's Italian. Brava, Lucia. So when we talk about embossing and debossing, we're talking about pressing with a machine in order to move the paper out or move the paper in, and creating this gorgeous effect here. As you can see, that's one when let's see if we can zoom in even more.
Yeah.
So there is no ink. In this case, you can also add ink, and the one without ink is called blind emboss or deboss. I'm gonna stop it here, because otherwise I can go on forever talking about print.
Yeah,
print and paper.
Yeah.
Yes. But let's go back into InDesign and let's see actually how do you do that. And what I've done yesterday, don't worry about it if you have not been with us. I'm gonna start to pick up on the cocktail menu in a second, so we're gonna go back and into creating a layout again. But the main things that I want to show you is that when we have our layer panel, and again, if you do not see it into your workspace, make sure to head into Window and Layers. Make sure to have your layers ticked so we can have layers here. We have a text. We created the text. So what we did is grab our text frame, press Command C, and make sure that we copy it into the text layer. And then we have our background into a separate layer. So when you are going to start to work with different finishing, I always recommend to use different layers, because it becomes very easy when you then have to save. The trick is to have the gold. In this case, it will be my my gold foil, but I can simply name this layer finishing.
Lindsay wrote, I love that you're passionate about print. We don't usually get lots of print info on the streams.
Well, if you want to have info about print, feel free to message me. I'm a huge geek. Just right here behind us, behind the screen, I have a full library with paper. I can geek it out in terms of use of paper, fit for purpose, coded, uncoated. I'm here to help if you want. That's something that I enjoy doing, and we can perhaps have a conversation about it. I should do a little group Zoom chat or Skype chat into about paper. If any one of you is up to it, I'm definitely up to it. We can have a little paper geek circle. I'm happy to start that and share that with you.
Seth wants to try the buffalo cauliflower burrito.
Oh yeah, it's time to eat there, Seth.
He's in. I think you're in Portland, right, Seth? Yeah, Portland. So what time is it? There's like noon. Yeah, 12:30. Yeah, so he's hungry.
So once we make sure that we separate our elements into different layers, what we need to do is make sure that we toggle the visibility of the finishing off and save the layer here as it is without the element. So don't worry about anything, just worry about everything that is going to be printed in color. This is going to be our first print going to our perhaps digital print, or maybe you're going to print into different manners with the menu. Digital is usually the most used in terms of being efficient and cost effective as well.
By the way, not a question, but I'm sure you're going to like this. Manuel is writing that he is using Fredegoni and
gum on paper. Big fun. So I'm just going to give a shout out to Fedrigoni.
We gave out myself. So many shout outs yesterday to all these companies. Why not?
Fedrigoni sponsor my book. See if we can have let's go back onto Behance.
It's on your Behance page, I think.
My Behance page.
And I have it up if you.
Yeah, if you want to go to yours.
Wait, you don't have your.
Here it is.
You got it? Okay. Oh yeah, here it is.
Behance. Okay. So Plant Therapy is a book that I published and with which I won an award. Feel free to watch the video maybe later here. But I won the top Fedrigoni award. So I use all the amazing paper that is chlorine free and acid free and with absence of all the possible. So it's super healthy and supportive for nature and health.
It's green.
Is green and is recycled also cotton. I also used, as I was saying, dark cotton recycled paper and recycled mixed paper with this amazing Savile Raw, which almost feels like a textured canvas. And then we have indigo on top with 2 layers of white ink and then CMYK on top. And as you can see, the lighter colors like yellow are visible on the dark paper just because I layered the white underneath. So let's go back into our InDesign and see how do we do that. And perhaps when you print in white, you do have to use the special finishing way of saving also for white ink. So if you ever use the HP Indigo with white ink, you will have to layer your file as so. And once you save the file, you will have to save, as I say, toggle the visibility off of your finishing. So in this case, we have here our logo. We want our logo to be in gold. We're gonna toggle it off so we don't see it, and we're gonna press Command E to export this first page, and we're gonna put it into the desktop.
And by the way, big shout outs to Kladi's dad, who is in the chat. Hopefully he doesn't get kicked out like
Hello,
her
guys.
mom did.
Yes, they're behaving themselves. They got
Yeah.
kicked out because they were
Yeah.
speaking in
Yeah.
Italian. Well, here is,
Yeah.
we want to understand what everyone says, so we're speaking in English here. But I usually name a different export file as CMYK. This will be the base layer with no finishing, where we just have the full color print. And I'm just gonna put it here into my desktop. I'm just gonna do just the first page and click on export, and here it is, ready to be printed.
Actually, I gotta also read this comment by Seth, which I agree with 100%. Seth wrote, also just a plug, all you designers who are joining here, pay close attention to every detail Kladi says. Her class here comes out of real live work situations, not a simulation. That is very true.
Yes, that's perhaps a big difference between someone like me and someone like this walking encyclopedia here next to me. I'm not a tutorial.
You're not a professional instructor.
I'm not a professional instructor. I'm a designer. Everything that I do, as Seth say, comes from my everyday experience and sweat. And I'm here to share with you and hopefully be able to share and grow our skill and techniques in this time together. But now let's go and see how do we save the finishing. So we're gonna have to toggle off the visibility of the text and the background, and you guessed it, we only leave in the right position wherever we want it the part that is gonna be in the special finishing, even if it's gold, whatever color, foil, matte foil, or emboss, or white ink. Now, the reason why I layer it is because I want to make sure that my layout is complete and my layout is done with all the elements into it. But when I save it, then I'll be able to toggle off the element that I don't need and bring the one that I need. So I'm going to press Command E to export this side of the file. And usually I name it when I give it to a printer. I name it exactly the name of the stock. So if my foil is called E52, I will call it E52. Or if it's white ink, I will call it white ink, just to make sure that we make it that understandable for the printer. If we work with an online service like Moo, that we're just gonna use it today as well, just because it's very good in terms of showing us a preview of the gold layer on top. I'm going to just name it gold, and it doesn't really matter because you're going to be uploading the file yourself, so that's just for your reference. So I'm going to put it into my desktop, make sure that it's a PDF for print. We really want to make sure that, again, Command E to export, making sure that it's a PDF for print, name it appropriately, making sure that you are on the correct page, and click into export. And as you can see, we have a white page, but we have our logo there, which is the element that is going to go in gold. And that works for every printer. Separate your file. The special finishing goes on its own on a white page, usually in black, just so it's very nice and defined. And we're going to go into our website, and we're going to use Moo because they are pretty cool. I use them very often for short runs. And I think the size that I've used here was...
We gotta ask Moo for a check. We've mentioned their name way too many times.
Large postcards. And I'm just gonna choose randomly here. Something that is very important is to use coated paper for finishing. And I'm gonna choose a gold foil and start making it.
So
and
in this case, I only had two choices, gold and silver.
Yes, and
that's
that's pretty much what happens when you deal with online mass producer services. They don't offer specific choice. That's why I say for short run, quick jobs, gold, something nice and fast that doesn't require too much details. I will go straight to someone like Moo. But if I'm doing my book, if I'm doing a menu, if I want to match, for example, find one of the swatches, I will talk with independent foil producer and independent printer. And something that I was advised from my lecturer, and I strongly advise to all of you, is to go and visit the printers. I worked into a printer. That's something that I probably never mentioned here. At the very beginning of my career, before becoming a designer, I actually started to work for a printer just because I wanted to learn how the machine work. It was a litho printer. I don't know if any of you is familiar with litho printing. Let me know in the chat. And if we click into upload full design, we'll see that as every good printer will need, they need two different files. As you can see here, it says design and gold foil because we choose these we choose the gold foil for today. I'm going to go into my desktop. Of course, the color will be the CMYK. Click on open and it's going to load. And then hopefully it's going to load soon. We go into gold foil and we submit here. See, Moo gives you all the instruction that you need. Upload design, and we go into the gold, which is simply the black and white file with only the element that is going to be into foil. And once we click into preview, hopefully here it is. So that's the way that it's going to look like when it's printed. We're going to have our beautiful design in full color, and then we're going to have our detail printer. That's exactly how you will have to provide the file for any
So
printer.
you need a specific file for the foil.
Yes, two files.
Two files.
Yes, so every time, so for example, if you have foil on the front or the back, how many files are you going to have?
For 3.
4.
4.
If you have foil, as you can tell, we haven't prepared this. It was just a live question. So if we have foil only on one side, there are going to be 3 files because we're going to have CMYK on one side, CMYK on the other, and the foil. But if we have foil on both sides, we're going to have CMYK on the front, CMYK on the back, gold on the front, and gold on the back.
Got it.
4 files.
Awesome. By the way, Esoft says, I love your voice. I think he's talking about me, so thank you so much, Esoft. Or maybe he's talking about you. I don't know.
You better be specific because this guy takes all the credit.
I'll take all the compliments.
And he takes all the plus. Look, only 32
only
thumbs up today.
32? Oh my god, we need more thumbs up, guys. Come on.
So I'm going to go back and start our cocktail menu since yesterday we worked on the menu. And again, here I've not finished it up. I'm probably going to share with you our finals. I'm just going to show it here.
While you show them that, let me just quickly mention that we have the design feedback coming up in about an hour, so make sure that you submit your work. It's on the Discord. You can click on the link right up above the chat. It says join the Discord challenge. I'm sure Voodoo Val will paste the link in the chat, but make sure that you submit your work so then Claudia and I can give you our thoughts in about an hour.
Yes. So something that I wanted to do here before we actually start is to make sure that all of you have downloaded the assets so we can actually work together. Again, let's start by opening the plant branding assets. Also, something that I mentioned yesterday is that if you go, let me see where the actual, if you go into my resources link and place your email here and click on send me Kladi resources, you will have access to the gifts. Which, do you have the page of the gifts open that you can show?
Of the
Kladi, you'll be able to access the gift. See, probably is in your email. I'm sure you did receive the gift, didn't you? Otherwise we can open it in a second. But once you put your email there, you will have 4 different templates. So you will have the business card European size, the business card onto US size, international size, menu and drink InDesign files ready for print, already set up. So all you have to do is to input your text. And that's also something else that I want to show you. Something that is important for starting today is to download the text. Of course, feel free to use your own. Voodoo Gal is giving a shout to the challenge as well. That's something, that's something that we're gonna have. Oh no, this is not it. But let's go back into our InDesign. So Voodoo Gal was saying that, reminding us to submit the work for the challenge.
For the
Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge.
Yeah.
We're gonna be reviewing that in
about an hour.
Yes, in about an hour. You had the gift there. Let's see.
That?
Yes.
Awesome. So this is what Kladi wants us to see. So let me.
Jesus already had the gift. So once you place your email in about 30 seconds to 1 minute, you'll be able to download all these free templates. So again, business cards. And then we got the menus. Otherwise, if you don't want the free templates, we can build it together right now.
And also, again, we just mentioned it, but we'll talk about it just a little more. Make sure that you submit your work onto Discord for the Adobe Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. So that was us. This is what I want to show you guys, the Daily Creative Challenge. Oh, my battery's running low. I guess I didn't connect my laptop, but it's okay. I have the charger right here. Let me just connect it before this thing dies. But anyway, so the Daily Creative Challenge started on the 30th. It ends tomorrow. And Paul Tranny has showed you 8 different challenges so far. The 9th one will be tomorrow, but Kladi and I will review challenge number 8 today, which was creating a texture. So make sure that you go into Discord, click on community chat. That will get you here. And if you click under challenge, you will see the work that people have been submitting. So submit the work that you created today with Paul and Kladi, and I will review it and give you our thoughts.
And also Seth is asking about the schedule. Stick with us until the end. We're going to give us a shout. We're going to give a shout to the rest of the schedule. I believe there is an XD coming up, and we have
Howard Pinsky is up next.
Pinsky.
He's going to be doing an XD Daily Creative Challenge.
Yes, and then Voodoo Val again.
And then Voodoo Val comes in after that.
Amazing.
Oh, actually, no. Kyle Webster is after Howard, and then Voodoo Val.
Oh, it's exactly
and
like
Cody
yesterday
Barrett.
then.
Yeah, just like yesterday.
Amazing. So hopefully by now everyone has downloaded the resources, and we are going to start by using here all the illustrations that we have, and I'm going to start to import more elements into the libraries. Remember, I do that so all the elements of the branding are linked into the library. If you don't remember to do that, make sure that you click on this down pointing arrow here on the libraries. If you do not have your libraries window panel open, make sure to go on to window and libraries, and you will have your library here. Click on the down pointing arrow and create a new library down here. We already started yesterday, so we're just going to keep implementing new little elements. And I'm going to go ahead and select this P with the green, and all you have to do in order to implement your asset is to click and drag. So once you click and drag, as you can see, the element gets updated into the library, and that will be immediately available into our InDesign. I'm just going to go ahead and add a few more, so then we can leave Illustrator for good and move into our beautiful environment here. And I think that's it for now. I'm just going to drag this just to have one extra. And I'm going to use this one as well. Perfect. So once we are done downloading and actually uploading our asset into our amazing cloud and Creative Cloud library, I can jump into InDesign, and this is what we are going to be building. But I'm going to start from scratch. So let's press Command N to open a new document. Hopefully my InDesign is gonna be patient with me and open so many files that are not saved. And I'm gonna start with calling first of all this document. I'm gonna call it drink menu. And the size here that we did, let me double check what size we had, was 100 by 215 millimeter. So let's do that again. So we have 100 millimeters in width and 215 in height. And as you can see, we're going to have a tall document which is called portrait. You can always switch the orientation if you want to, but that's how we're going to work. Make sure that facing pages is unticked, because that's what we're going to be using just if we work with something that emerge. In this case, we are working with a single page front to back, so we do not need facing page. And just to give you a little bit of a hint here to what facing page changes, because that's something interesting, because perhaps you're working for your client and doing the booklet menu. That's can be an option. As you can see here, I want to zoom in to show you what happened. If we click facing pages, the margin go from top to bottom, and then inside and outside. Inside is the margin that kiss the two pages that kiss each other, and therefore the page will sink in a little bit in the middle, and we always want to set the inside margin slightly larger than the outside in order to prevent any page sinking in. As you can imagine, in a book, whatever is in the middle is gonna be slightly going into our spine. So we just want to allow maybe 3-4 millimeter extra compared to the margin outside in order to compensate the stitching of the book. Otherwise, if we untick facing pages, we simply have left and right because we don't have any attachment between the two pages. But I'm gonna go back and make sure that we have facing page unticked, and I'm gonna click into pages because we have two sides, and I'm gonna we can already start to create two columns. We use the gutter of 4 millimeter and a margin of 7 on 10 millimeters. That will be the minimum safe area. If you go ahead into the free gift and download your guides, you will have your bleeds and your margin already set up. And talking about bleeds, let's go ahead and set up our bleeds. We already have it here because that's pretty much what I use all the time. 3 millimeter. We talked about bleeds yesterday. Bleeds allow us to have a little bit of extra margin here when we design our background. In this case, the background is white, so we don't really need we need a bleed. But for example, if we deal with something like that, a document that has perhaps orange on the back, we really want to make sure to extend our margin with the bleed, so when the printer go ahead and cuts it, if this machine moves, we allow the movement to happen without having any white ugly border around. And that's the way to work professionally to make sure that we prevent any error that the printer might make.
That's right. And while you're putting that away, I'm noticing that there's a lot of comments coming in on YouTube, but we can't really see those. So make sure that you come into behance.net/live so we can see your comments. So if you're watching this on YouTube, we can't see or respond your comments because I can see like they're just coming up here on the side screen. So,
and they're very tiny.
And they're very tiny. So we only look at the comments that are on behance.net/live. So make sure you go there and then we can answer your comments and questions.
Perfect. So let's get started here. Something amazing that we mentioned yesterday, but is definitely worth repeating today, is that the amazing InDesign, I believe this happened from InDesign 2020, big shout out to Tony Armour that passed me these tips, supports the Word document text. So we don't have even to open Word anymore. All we have to do is to find the file, hopefully, where the text is.
The difficult part is finding the file.
Well, you have it nicely organized into the asset that I prepare for you guys. Now the problem is that I have to find my own files.
Alok wrote, I like that you work in millimeters.
Yes.
Yusuf wrote, this live is amazing.
Let's see if we have our folders here. And we go editorial stream, gifts. No, it's not into the gift, it's into the assets. Perfect, we manage it. So make sure that you go and find our plant vegan eatery drink menu. All we have to do is to click on the file and drag it into InDesign. And as you can see, InDesign loads the text. All you have to do is to click once, boom, and here it is.
It maintains the styles, correct?
It maintains the styles of Word, but we don't really care.
Okay.
Usually clients send you beautifully yellow, blue, and red styles, and it of course is good to mention just in case we already have a nice styled Word document, but we're here to style it with our amazing paragraph styles in InDesign. So what I usually do into my workflow is I create a copy, so I always leave a copy there, and I make it smaller, and it just for safety is there, and then I press Option, click on my text box and drag on the other side, and press Option, Command C to make sure that we open up our text and make it fit. And of course it's looking a little bit tiny, so I'm gonna go ahead and click and drag in order to open my text. Our character and paragraph styles are already there into our workspace. If they're not there, make sure to go into Window and Styles and make sure that your paragraph style is selected. Usually when you click on your paragraph style, it comes it comes together with, I'm speaking full Italian now. It comes with character styles. As I say, 50% of the words that I say are made up.
With it? No, I mean it's a word, but you can just say with.
With. Oh, it's actually a word in English as well. Okay. See, I'm not making it up.
No.
Look at that face. And it's all comes with the character style that will allow us to override any paragraph style rules that we select. As mentioned yesterday, I start from what the majority of the text is. So the majority of the text is the description. So I'm gonna start to style our description. I'm gonna click and press Command A to select everything that is inside and head to my properties panel to start to style our amazing text. Let's make sure that we move this little paragraph style. I believe that the font was Bryant. If you have any doubt, go into the brand guidelines and check it out. It's always there for you to guide you through the development of your design for your client. I believe that I'm pretty sure that it was Bryant for the text, and I'm gonna go and select the regular alt.
Nice. Our friend Shauna is in the chat. Hey Shauna, how's it going?
Thank you
Good
so
to
much
see
for joining us.
Yeah, she was here yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Also, check out her past streams. She was there. I don't remember the last time you were on, Shauna, but she was doing hand lettering, I believe, and it was probably before Lisa. So definitely.
She was doing some design on the iPad. Some very cool,
Yeah.
like children book illustration.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Very cool stuff. So in the meantime, I went there and selected my panel, my color palette, just because I want to make sure that I have the color available. And what I will do is to jump into my layers and create a new layers, and I'm gonna call it background. See, start to create your layer from the very beginning, so you're gonna start to be happy with your structure at the end, especially if you have that special finishing coming up. And as you can see here, before placing the background, we have this red line around our document. We spoke about it yesterday. I'm gonna zoom in even more. The red line is the bleed, so that space between the cut, which is the black line, the trim, that's where the cutter is gonna go, that allow us to have some extra background. And then the purple line is the margin. So this is a safe area. So we want the text to stay within the pink margin, so it doesn't get cropped. Then we have a little bit of background, and then we have the extra safe space for the background, just in case the printer cutter jiggles a bit. But let's zoom out, and super zoomed in here, and I'm gonna go ahead and click onto my rectangle tool to create a background in order to be able to select the appropriate color for our text while we style it.
So I'm looking at the chat, and there's a lot of Star Wars references going on between Voodoo Val and Shauna, and I just want to let you guys know that Kladi has never seen a single Star Wars movie. She doesn't know anything about anything when it comes to Star Wars. So
never watched one in my life. Actually, I want to give another big shout to James Seddon, aka Cotton, is a designer, web developer based here in Manchester. Huge fan, good friend of mine. Is a huge fan of Star Wars. I every time that I was traveling and find something Star Wars related, I was bringing it to him. He's like a big brother to me. One of the first person that I met when I started my career as a designer in Manchester. We also shared a studio when I started, and he couldn't believe it either. Like, he was such a big fan, and every time that I could find something, I would buy for him and share with him, but I had no clue what if it was good, bad,
Voodoo Val clearly is not longer your friend.
I can see it.
Lindsay's saying that you're not missing out.
Okay.
Laura didn't see it either. Sad faces from Lucia.
Sorry, Lucia.
Lucia.
Yes. But let's go back into a paragraph style, because I want to show you some more tricks here into...
Shauna wrote, what am I doing? I need to bring her out to the fore. She's too far into the dark side that I cannot bring her over.
Sorry. I don't even know what you're talking about. I like thrillers, I like documentaries, and I got like superheroes. That's our...
She's a Marvel fan, though, so she likes superheroes.
Yes. And also, I don't have a TV.
She doesn't have... Well,
Like
I mean, nobody
now.
really has a TV. Everybody watches stuff on their laptops.
It's 8 years that I don't have a TV because I didn't want to watch all the commercials. So that's a little bit, you know a little bit more about me. But let's go back into our InDesign file. So first thing that I want to do is to start to style the text. That's what we were doing. So let's go back into our text and press Command A to select it all. and we went into Bryant, regular alt. If you see the alternate text just has a little bit of a different A.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I have some cool Adobe / Star Wars trivia. That you guys know that the writer of what's it oh my god, I can remember the Star Wars movie, the one where I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it, but oh my god, Rogue One, is that the one? Rogue One? I'm pretty sure it was Star Wars Rogue One. The writer for the movie was also the same person who created Photoshop. I forgot if it was John Knoll or Thomas Knoll. I'll look that up. But the same person was the original Star Wars, the original person who created Photoshop and wrote that Star Wars movie. Maybe somebody in the chat could put the name. Yeah, but so that was a cool Adobe Star Wars. John Knoll. John Knoll, yeah. So John Knoll is one of the he and Thomas Knoll are brothers. They created Photoshop, and John also helped pitch the story for Rogue One, the Star Wars movie. Also, you guys probably can't tell, but I'm wearing a Photoshop shirt. It's probably really hard to see, but it's a Photoshop shirt, and it has the toolbar in the sleeve. I don't know if you guys could see that.
Someone is a gig.
But yeah, that's some cool Adobe / Star Wars trivia there for you.
Okay guys, I'm starting to dive in. As you can see, I've already created my second style, which is going to be the food name. I'm going a little bit faster because that's what we've done yesterday already. So if you want to hear more about it, make sure to head on yesterday's stream.
So Lindsay wrote, so basically he created the world as we know it. I'm sure Lindsay's referring to John Knoll, who, again, one of the creators of Photoshop and one of the people who came up with the story for Rogue One. I guess so. Yeah, I mean, imagine having that in your resume. I made Photoshop and I made a Star Wars movie. Like, what else do you do after that?
I got no idea what you're talking about. But yeah, I started by creating 2 columns to fit it in. I don't think that that's going to work just because we're working on a stripe, and I usually suggest not to have less than 5 words per sentence just to help readability, because otherwise it breaks up too much and becomes confusing. So that looks like it's not going to work. But before changing it, I actually want to show you something that is into the stylizing of our columns that I didn't show you yesterday, and is part of the amazing InDesign 2020 release. I presented that at Max last year as well, but it's definitely worth it to remember. So I don't know how many of you like to use some rulers around your paragraph. And what I used to do is I used to go back here into my bar, click on the line tool, try to go in between the paragraph, Alt-Shift to make sure that the line was straight, go into the stroke, give it a stroke, pick it a color, and so on and so forth. And then once, for example, my paragraph was changing and moving, I had to do all over it again, move the line, making sure that it was centered. So long, huge waste of time. Then it's gonna happen anymore thanks to our amazing 2020 release. All we have to do is press Command B and then go into column rules. The common rules will allow you to stylize your column directly and is also automated. That means that it follows the length and the movement of your columns. Let's see. If we click into insert columns, all we have to do is to give it a weight and click on preview so we can actually see it happening here. And we can also give it a different type of stroke, so we can have all these cool different variation here. Light slant is one of that I like very much. We can give it different weight to make it bigger or smaller, and give it perhaps a different color here. And you can actually make it go a little bit higher or a little bit lower over here. And again, you can have it to hand a different higher height as well, and also you can offset the horizontal position once you press OK. And for example, let's go back and add another column here into the general. The more column you add, the more more ruler will be added. And also if we reduce the size of the box, is gonna move it according, is responsive. I remember Kathleen was there with me and she used the word responsive, which is super appropriate for this behavior. Is automated. I believe our friend Sensei probably is behind this calculation as well, but as you can see, it's super flexible. Well, I'm gonna get rid of it because we don't really need it here. I'm gonna go back to one column and I'm gonna unclick our is unclick English?
Yeah.
deselect. Deselect our.
Talking about English, I'm not sure what this word means in British English. So it says, where do you get that jumper? Am I wearing a jumper or are you wearing a jumper?
I think it's your jumper.
This is a, so
I'm a hoodie. I'm wearing a hoodie.
So a long sleeve shirt is a jumper.
Yes.
All right. So I don't remember specific. I think this is
Someone bought it for you.
no, because I have two of these.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I know. Actually, Kladi bought me one, and the other one was given to me by the Photoshop team after I did a presentation in Adobe San Jose. But you can buy them online, I think. I'll find the website and then I'll show you where you can buy them.
Nice. So what I'm doing here is to apply my food name style to all my food name, even if this name in this case is a cocktail, is not food. But don't worry, we'll be able to change that. Simply double click here into our paragraph style option and change that into drink so we don't get confused. And something that we're gonna add here in a second are our tab. So in order to see the special character, remember to click Option Command I, and you'll be able to see if there is already a tab, and the tab is symbolized by these two right pointing arrows here. And as you can see, there is already a tab in between our name of the drink and the price, and I'm gonna double click here on our drink name to make sure that we give a tab that allow us to span the price at the very end of the column once for all our drinks name. Remember, we're gonna use the right justified because we're looking to position the end. Hopefully you can see it here. I'm just gonna click on this little fella here and click into the this little ruler and bring it to the end. As you can see, they move live because I got my preview ticked in, and I went a little bit too far. Let's bring it back. Perfect. And I'm gonna press OK. You can also do that individually by pressing, I think it's Option Command T. No, that's a paragraph. Let's see if I remember the shortcut. Yeah, it's Shift Command T to work with the tabs. You can see that if you put it here to the 0, that's where the ruler goes. But because we are working with a paragraph style, I want to make sure that every single line, a paragraph where we attribute
if you zoom in and out, does it change the ruler? Oh no, not through with the zoom tool.
Oh no, the ruler. Oh yes.
Oh,
sorry.
Cool.
You knew that.
No, I didn't know. I really didn't know. Yeah, actually, I did know. I did know.
Okay.
Of course, I knew. Everybody knew.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah. Now, before you continue, I want to show people where you can get this awesome shirt. I mean, I'm sure Adobe won't mind that we're plugging their store. So
we plug everyone.
We plug everybody. So if you guys go into adobestore.com, you can buy official Adobe apparel. And this awesome jumper, I guess it's called in England, that I'm modeling.
How is it called in the Bay?
And we call it a long sleeve shirt. Right here, PS Toolbar long sleeve, only $12. And actually, I just saw this really cool Photoshop shirt that I'm probably gonna buy. But anyway, so that was a question. Where did I get this shirt? I actually, she got it in person at Adobe San Jose. So if you're in San Jose, they have a store at Adobe World Headquarters. Or you can buy it online. But yeah, so here it is, adobestore.com, and you click under apparel, and then the shirts are there. So this is where I got it. All right, cool.
So while Jesus fixes your shopping needs.
Yeah, if you guys need to get me a present, this is where you can buy me a shirt. Okay, so back to Kladi now.
Yes, what I'm doing here is working with the indents and spacing. Just give it a little bit of breathing space. We done that yesterday, so as I said, I'm not gonna go into that for too long. I'll make sure that I turn off the hyphenation here, something that, as you can see, is bothering here into my text as well. So I want to make sure that I get rid of the hyphenation. Maybe if you're working on a book on a longer text, that will be helpful, but for this short text, is not really something that we need. Now, before perhaps the last thing that we're gonna do is to take care of the title. Excuse me. And I'm gonna go ahead and use our big noodle tilted that our kind friend Voodoo Vals has already shared on the chat. And I really want to jump into Photoshop as soon as we finish this, because I want to start to show how to use the mockup. I'm going to make the mockup available for you, hopefully while we review the work.
And talking about review, that's in 30 minutes. And let me show you guys what I'm talking about. If you're just joining the chat, let me switch over to my screen. In about 30 minutes, we're going to review the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge, which is hosted by Paul Tranny. Today was challenge number 8, and he worked on creating textures. Kladi and I are going to review the work in about 30 minutes. If you want to submit it, make sure that you click on join the community chat. That will open up Discord, and I'm sure Voodoo Val is posting the link in the chat. And make sure you click on challenge. And this is today's challenge here. There's some texture going on with text. So that's what we'll review. So make sure that you submit the work so that Kladi and I could give you our thoughts on the work that you created. So once again, Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge design feedback happens in about 30 minutes. And it looks like Kladi still needs one more moment. So before I switch out of my screen, I just want to help Kladi out a little bit here on her Behance page. Make sure that you follow her on Behance. You can go into behance.net/IamKladi and you can see her work. Make sure that you follow her there. Also, make sure that you follow her on Instagram. She's got 2. She's got Printmysoul, which is if you want to work with Kladi in terms of becoming her client so she could design something for you. If you want to learn from Kladi, then follow her at IamKladi. So 2 Instagram accounts. IamKladi for learning and Printmysoul for working with her and her studio.
Thank you, Sus.
Awesome. So let's get back into your screen.
Yes, so I'm pretty much done with styling the overall of the text here. I've actually went into this little frame, which is our rectangle frame tool. And I'm gonna be here and just create this little frame where we can drag our logo. I'm gonna go ahead and try just to use the P here and then press Shift Option Command E to fit it into our frame. Here it is. I don't know if this one works because it's got the yellow on it. Maybe we need to. Let's actually make a good use of our friends' paragraph styles. So let's say that we want to change the background into purple just because it fits better, it looks better. Now our drink name became invisible, but not to worry, all we have to do is to click on the drink name, paragraph style option, double click in there, go into character color and select the yellow and press OK, and bam, in literally 3 seconds we change completely the design because we are using those amazing assets and we're really maximizing and the efficiency of the workflow with the Adobe Creative Cloud environment. So here we go, we have our logo. Perhaps what I'll do, I'll just push Shift Return in order to make sure that we have a little bit of space on top here so there is no text directly on top of the P. And it looks good for now. Probably last thing that I'm gonna be adding here is maybe the website. So if they want to have more information here, I'm just gonna click and copy one of these texts, make sure that we press W to show the area that is not visible, and I'm gonna go ahead and click here.
Seth wrote he already had lunch, now he wants one of those berry Collins.
Oh yeah. Tell me about it. Where are my cocktails? That's something a problem. It's actually a problem when I work with restaurants.
They give you cocktails?
Oh no, I end up eating so much. I gain weight every time that I start a new project with a restaurant.
You have to try the product to make sure it's good.
Yes, I do that unfortunately too often. So we don't have time to create the back. The most important thing is here. Actually, we'll do it. We'll do it.
We'll do it. All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm gonna use the green. I'm gonna copy here the green on this page. Make sure that on my layers, I'm gonna be into my background, and I'm gonna go ahead and select the rectangle tool. Start for my bleed, making sure we give that extra space here. I'm probably gonna keep it the same color actually. Kind of like that purple.
I'm actually curious to know, like, who in the chat works with InDesign or who is learning InDesign for the first time? I'm just wondering, because we have about 265 people watching, so I'm just curious to know who here is a professional InDesign user and who here has either never used it or is starting to learn. So let us know in the chat.
Yes, and something that I wanted to show you is the amazing power of the libraries. The reason why I like to import my file like that is because, for example, I just noticed that this was an old asset. So as you can see, the green here of the cacti is slightly different from the one that we have on brand. So what I'm gonna do is to click Command C to copy this new color, and then double click on my artwork here, which is gonna be opening into Illustrator, and then we go press Command V to copy our green, and I'm gonna go ahead into Window and Swatches. Oops.
So the comments are starting to come in. A lot of people, it's a combination. Laura's using it for college. Carol has used it for years. Keith, exclusively at McGraw-Hill Publishing. Brenda starting, used it first time. Steve used it a lot for many years. Norbit using it all the time. Winad, I used it very often. Carol, I already mentioned her. So people are. Keith has used it. He used to use Quark before InDesign, so a whole bunch of people have been using it for a while, and then we got people starting now. Anthony started with CS5 back in 2011.
Oh, amazing!
Awesome. Which version that you started with?
I'm so bad with names and dates and everyone's. I don't know. I don't really remember.
You don't remember what version you started with?
I don't. That's. I think I'm dating myself just by saying that.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do here is to actually bring in another copy. I realized that that file was already a mask, so it was poorly constructed. But not to worry, all we have to do is we have all the elements, so I'm literally importing them from our amazing library here. So we have the jaguar, and then we need also the P and the little leaves.
So Seth is asking, Kladi, please explain why you did that.
Why am I importing a different one? Well, purely because, as you can see, this file is a pretty much a mask. So at the beginning I hoped that it was a vector, but it's a mask, so it's gonna take a huge amount of time and it's not worth it to try and ungroup the mask because there are too many elements. So probably here there's been a copy and paste between InDesign and Illustrator, so that gave some problems. But otherwise, if we were working, so I'm literally changing color set. That's pure geekness. The green wasn't the green of the brand. So I'm actually using the final assets here.
Except for changing the colors. I don't know if you answered the wrong question. I don't know.
So here it is.
But it was worth explaining because people may be wondering why you went back into Illustrator from InDesign.
Yes, I mean actually probably. Let's see. Looks like that the mask is only the pattern, so I can press Command C to copy and delete it, and then use the eyedropper to maybe select. Here our cacti actually works. Seth, good point. You made me try, and it actually works. So the whole point was here to change the green, and we actually managed to do it. We have to change the green over here. I got a little scared, but it was just the pattern. I need to be scared here, and we need to make sure that the pattern here goes behind the jaguar. So we need to bring our lovely jaguar forward. Perfect, just like so. And once we're done, all we have to do is, we have two jaguars. We're gonna keep these big jaguars here on top. And all we have to do at the end here is to press Command S to save. And once we go back into our InDesign, now we have our color matching. So that's correcting. And that's why I use the libraries, because you can see that once we use the libraries over here, the artwork updates. As I was a little bit afraid because again it was a masked, it gave me a little bit of problem there, so I could perhaps go ahead and refine it. But all it matters is that let's see that we do not want to use this image at all. We just want the cacti. Press Command S, go back into InDesign, Adobe Cadabra, boom, is updated for us.
And like we said yesterday, you have to make the sound effect boom in order for it to work.
Yeah, I come with sound effects. But I'm just gonna go ahead and save this one here because I want to make sure that we bring.
And while you're typing that,
font.
Eric wrote he's a pro, not a master. I don't think that many people are masters at anything. Like in Photoshop, I think I only know one master, which I'll give props to, Bertman Roy. Which you know this, that I'm a big fan of Bertman Roy, and to me he's like the only Photoshop master I know. Besides that, I don't know anyone else. So not many people are masters. So if you're a pro, you're way ahead of everybody.
So let me see if I can actually make this available for you. It should be happening here. Perfect. So I did it. So instead of having it into my website, I went around it in order to make sure that you have it. And now, if you refresh your assets, you are gonna find also this new edition of the menu mockup. If you've not done it before, just go into my resources. I'm Kladi.com/resources. Click on the asset folder, and right now you'll find the updated version with the menu mockup. We have a little bit of time, so we can start to get into the mockup right now.
And right before we get into that, just reminding everybody about the design feedback that's going to be coming up in about 20 minutes. So make sure that you go into the Discord page once. Let me show my screen. I know I'm not showing it, and I'm having trouble getting the mouse to the right area. Make sure that you go into Discord and you submit it under feedback, under challenge. This is where, oh look, somebody's just submitting one right now. So
working on textures.
Yeah, working on textures. So we're gonna be doing the design feedback in about 20 minutes. That was actually a design from yesterday, but we're gonna probably get into it if we have a little bit of time.
Ashley saying, can you imagine if everyone was a master in Illustrator? Well, we're gonna be working towards it on the 27th of April. After Paul. I think there is going to be someone else after Paul, because there's looks like it's 2 weeks more coming.
Okay.
And then from the 27th of April till the 8th of May, I'm going to be with you working on some amazing Illustrator daily creative challenges.
Yeah,
so stay tuned, be patient.
Yeah, so
we are master in the makings.
So we're going to review Paul's daily creative challenge today, but Kladi will be on when does yours start?
27th.
The 27th of April. So mark your calendars. Kladi will be on every day for 2 weeks doing Illustrator daily creative challenges. So make sure that you check that out. And I'm going to go back to Kladi's screen.
Yes. If you download the gift, you'll be able to download the assets to create the business card. As you can see here, I already created a final. I have some finals here, which perhaps I can share with you. As soon as you have, can you put it into the chat, please? Because I already created some finals. You should have it into the Dropbox. We'll have a final, or perhaps I email it to you.
Yeah, let me open that up.
But Asus is going to share with you because I love for you to work with me. So if for whatever reason, maybe you're just enjoying watching the stream, you do not have the finals yet ready, you can use the finals that I created, and we can actually put them into our mockups. And you also have the mockups, so no excuses. Get the work done, get the mockup done, and practice. So I'm gonna keep my finals over here because we're gonna work towards building. I'm probably gonna show you.
So before I share the link, is this what you want me to share on the chat?
Yes.
Awesome.
So what you're gonna have is the plant. Perhaps I think the Buddha will have to share it again because you are not a moderator.
I'm not a moderator.
You're not a moderator. You can also put it into Discord if you want, but let's see. I'm sure Buddha will be kind enough to reshare it so it's clickable. Please, Val. But for the meantime, let's open our mockup. Let me know if you have it. If we updated the Dropbox fine for everyone. So if you have that Dropbox with your mockup ready to go. And something that I wanted to show you is this mockup already contained a paper bag. We do not really want to use the paper bag because we have done the front and the back of our menu. So we have the front and the back. So what I want is to have the front, have the back, and perhaps I've seen that in this mockup I can substitute the back with the front. So let's see how to do that. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to go here into our layers, which are being named appropriately, and I'm going to click on the paper bag here, and I'm going to hide it. And then I'm going to work into the menu large front, and as you can see, there is a smart object. Remember, when we work into Photoshop, a smart object is a container that has two main purposes. One, to layer as many images as you want inside the container, which is the smart object, or to work in not destructive ways. So whatever transformation, whatever adjustment, whatever filter that you apply into Photoshop. Sorry, I refer to the Photoshop library next to me, encyclopedia. You do not distract your file. So let's go ahead and start it by double clicking on where you say artboard copy, and we're gonna simply click and drag in our final, which I hope that I left there, but I didn't. I'm gonna go and find them again. And here, editorial stream, finals. Here we go. So we're gonna start by using this menu template finals, and I'm gonna click and drag it into Photoshop, press Option and click and drag on one of the 4 squares here at the bounding box to make sure that we fill the entire page. Again, remember, if like in this case the proportion of the mockup are different from the one of the real mockup, and if you're using that to show to your client, tell your client simply, hey, I'm showing you this for the purposes of showing the way that it looks like printed and laid out and maybe everything together, but that's not the realistic size. They are intelligent enough, I'm sure, to understand that you're doing that just to show them how nice will look once it's printed, although it will be slightly longer. It's unperceivable. Of course, it's a completely different shape. Try to find a better mock-up that fits your brochure. If it's a folded with a like DL brochure, which is like literally 1/3 of a letter size, perhaps this is not the right brochure for you. But if it's just like a centimeter on and off, alpha hinge, you can get away with it. Just make sure that you perhaps mention that to your client. Now click return and Command S to save, and Command W to close that file. And as you can see, we already have our beautiful file there. Also, we have a coaster that I'm not going to be using. I left it there for you, but I'm going to hide it for now. But what happens if I want to now create a duplicate? So I want another duplicate. You will say maybe duplicate the layer. That's not the way to go. If you duplicate the layer, we can show you actually what happens if we duplicate the layer here. So I'm going to click the layer and press Command J. What happens? We have two identical layers. I'm going to click Command T to transform, Alt Shift to make sure that we move and keep in our height consistent. We have two identical menu. So what happens if I go ahead and change one of those? So this copy, I'm going to call it back. I'm going to call it back here. So what happened to the back? If I go ahead and now add a different layer, for example here, this other side to my menu option, and stretch it out like that in order to fill the page. What happens if I create and change the content of our smart object? Once I go back into my files, you'll see that it changed in both mockup, and that's what we don't want. So I'm actually going to double click and toggle off the visibility of this layer. Also, I've just noticed that there is a little bit of in the mask there is a little bit of extra edge that we don't want. So perhaps what I'm going to do is to press Command and click on the layer to load the actual menu. The rest is going to be shadow, so we don't really want to have the artwork on top of the shadow. And we click on the artwork and we click on our lovely mask friend here at the bottom of the panel in order to make sure that it's nice and neat and we don't overlap the artwork on the shadow, and press Command Save. And once we go back to our artwork, we went back to the original work that we intended. Now, how do we duplicate in order to actually unlink the content? I know you're nodding because You taught me that. We're gonna click onto control and click into the layer, and we're gonna make a new smart object via copy. So that's the difference. When we create a new smart object via copy, it will unlink the two smart objects. So we can go ahead and delete the very first one, double click on the second one, and we can toggle on the visibility of the other side of the menu. I will click and drag in order to apply the mask into it. Make sure that we toggle off the visibility of the layer below. I'm gonna press Command S to save, and here we go. We have copied the smart object, so we can substitute the paper bag with the other side of the menu, but at the same time we have two different versions of the same smart object with two different content unlinked.
Awesome. So we have about 10 minutes, or actually no, 9 minutes before we start the design feedback. So remember, go into Discord, submit your work. Kladi and I are very excited to see what you guys came up with, and you guys always do some awesome work, so please submit it so that we can review it live and you can get our comments. Just like right in like 8 minutes. So
perfect.
We'll be right there.
Minutes are perfect. So what I'm doing now is simply bringing in the rest of the finals that you have there. I wish there was some way to review what, to see how many people are actually working, because I know that some friends are like, especially in here that is evening, I know friends are kind of like watching me on the TV. My friend Giovanna, I'm gonna give her a big shout and hello. I've seen that she was watching us on a TV because it's late, but I want to know how many of you are actually working while we work, because I would love to see what you do.
So 2 questions. Your question, and also, are you watching us on your computer, on your TV, on your phone? I'm curious because, like you said, somebody tagged her on an Instagram post, and her friend was just sitting back on the couch watching us on TV. So I was like, "Oh, that's weird. Like we're on TV."
I think that I reposted on my Instagram.
You posted it on your Instagram, and if you want to check out Kladi's Instagram, that's at I am Kladi, I believe. Awesome. So I'm gonna switch back over to your screen and continue working with Photoshop and the templates.
Yeah, so what I've done at the moment, I have pretty much selected all the final. I think that I'm missing one side of the business card.
All right, we got F. Oh man, I couldn't read his name, but he's from San Antonio. The chat's going kind of fast. Smitic, F. Smitic from San Antonio, Texas. Cheryl from Florida. Nice.
Where are people watching us from?
Manuel is watching from his Mac while working. Lindsay is at work watching down in the computer, in the corner of my computer. Aditya is on their laptop. Lisa, I'm working but on a different job. It's like you both are sitting next to me in the office.
Lisa.
Oh, Lisa. So we got Nora watching us from the laptop. Cheryl watching from the computer. Awesome. Cool.
And how many of you is working? I'm on my Mac working manual.
Yeah. Okay. So they answer both questions at the same time. So it seems like half the people watching are working.
Cool. Very
awesome.
Cool. I'm glad that then I provided all the different assets so you can actually join the work real time. So as you can see here, this is my final mockup. I've actually changed the background. You can do that choosing whatever background you want. I think I found that into stock, so let me just guide you through that. All you have to do is to go into stock.adobe.com, and I usually put like wooden texture or wooden table. I don't remember what I did for that one.
Lucia's watching from her cell phone from Italy.
Oh, super cool. So yeah, something probably like that will do. I just like wanted to find something that it was a little bit more earthy, and I left it to you. I left like a full white background, so it's up to you. You can choose, whatever color. I don't know if you're doing different color than my artwork. Feel free to use whatever you want. Adobe stock got a ton of different tables. Sometimes I like white wood. That also would work because it will give a lot of contrast. So perhaps something like that is something that you can use. But let me actually download this. So I'm gonna save it to my library. make sure that I save it to the right library. So in order to do that, I want to go ahead and manage it. And we create a library called, I believe, Plant.
We got the design ninja in the house, Tony Harmer.
Tony,
we gave you a shout out. Oh yeah, Kladi gave you a shout out earlier for a tip that you showed her that she showed today, which was dragging a Word document directly into InDesign.
Yes.
So this is the.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, and then Tony will be here at Adobe Live tomorrow, doing the couch stream with Rufus.
And Stephanie. I believe it's 12 p.m. every Friday UK time.
Yeah, so I don't know what that would be in Pacific.
And for those of you who don't know Tony, Tony is my guru and mentor, and he's been for many years. When I was actually transitioning from being someone who works strictly in marketing and PR and moving into design, I was going around the UK following Tony, and we have this little story. I don't know if you know it, but the first time that I met my design guru, or imagine, if you met us. No.
Oh, Tony Harmer. Yeah, Tony Harmer.
Tony.
Tony, yeah.
We were actually sitting on a train, and he was going to be a speaker to the event in London, and we were both going from Manchester to London. We ended up sitting next to each other, and I dropped my oranges on his laptop.
Ooh.
Oh, guy, I felt that small. I still apologize to this time, but it became like a nice joke between us. Thankfully, the computer worked. I actually remember that Tony made me stand up in the audience. His talk was in a movie theater in London, and he went like, "If my computer doesn't work, I'm that lady there." And he made me wave in front of everyone.
Awesome.
Thankfully, it worked, and we are still friends.
Awesome. Well, fun fact, Tony is a lord, and so am I. So whenever we talk to each other, we always say, "Hey, my lord, hi, my lord." He got me a lord now.
Also look at your thumbs up, Jesus.
Oh, my
You're
thumbs
not
up.
really
Yeah, I'm not promoting the thumbs up today. Hit that thumbs up. We got to 80 yesterday. We got 53 today. So click on that thumbs up. So once again, Tony will be live tomorrow, live from the sofa with Stephanie and Rufus. That is tomorrow at 4 a.m. Pacific. So you have to wake up really early to see Tony, which is, I think, noon here in UK time.
Yes, 12 p.m.
Awesome.
And let's go back into stock.
So one more thing, we are going to be doing the design feedback in about 2 minutes. So make sure that you submit your work. Click on the blue link right above in the chat. Join the Illustrator Discord link. Click on that, submit your work, and Kladi and I will review it in just a few minutes. So let me...
Budoval is saying, what? Seriously, a lordship? Yes.
Yes, a lordship, Budoval. I am a lord. See, going back to the Star Wars references, I could be like Lord Jesus. Kind of like Lord Vader. Oh, that's awesome. So that was the whole thing.
So
I asked Tony if he could somehow make me a lord because I wanted to be like Lord Jesus and that'd be awesome. And he actually did it. He got me a lordship for Christmas.
Oh, Tony, you're amazing. Okay, let's dive back into stock. So what I wanted to show you is that if we save it into the library, and here on the right, it will tell you where it's saved. At the moment, we're saving Advert Mockup. That's not the correct library. Our library was called Plant. At least that's the one that I've used. You can always go here and try to find it from... Oh no, this is to create a new library. What am I doing here? So you'll be able here to scroll. Oops, that went too fast. So you'll be able here to scroll into the library, and here it is. Plant brand assets. This is the plant. This is the plant. This is the library that we are using for this amazing stream. And all we have to do is to go back into InDesign. Oh, sorry, Photoshop. I'm tired now. You can tell. We can go back into Photoshop and check to our libraries, and making sure that we are into our plant brand assets. And as soon as it loads. Perfect. We already have the background over here. Isn't that amazing? And since we mentioned stock, of course, this one is a little bit smaller because I'm still working with the preview. But of course, if that's the work that I want to present to my client and use for work, I'm going to license it. I think that it gives a nice contrast. So that's a nice option there as well. What are you giggling about?
Voodoo Valbro, should we burst his bubble and tell him that Lord Jesus doesn't sound scary at all? Or keep it a secret?
Yes. I'll tell him later. Let's keep the bubble now.
It's not supposed to be scary.
Also, it's only got 56 likes today.
Oh yeah, only 56. Come on, guys. But anyway, it's time for the design feedback. Do you need like 30 seconds to finish this up? Or
I think we're good. I'm going to jump back
good?
into InDesign
Okay.
as soon as we finish. But let's go and check out.
Okay, so the InDesign feedback is starting now. If
Illustrator.
you're Illustrator InDesign feedback is starting now. If you're rushing to submit your work, do it like in the next 30 seconds so that we could watch it.
Yeah.
So we could look at it. Actually, we should do it from your computer.
Okay.
So let's bring it up on your screen.
Perfect. Everything you say, Lord.
Yes.
Lord,
You guys could call me my lord. That's fine. I don't mind it. Thank you, Tony, for the lordship. That way, people could call me. Oh, they have to call me my lord. I think is law.
Oh, we don't have many texture ones today.
No, if you scroll up, you'll see Paul's. Let's start with Paul's.
Which one is Paul's?
Keep going up. You'll see his.
Oh, so we have mix from yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
That's Paul's right there. So once again, we're going to have to be really, really harsh with Paul because he is a professional and he can take it. No, just kidding. So
Paul, we love your work. You're awesome.
Paul, you're awesome. So this is the textures that Paul was working with today with Illustrator and text. PT, Paul Tranny. I actually don't call Paul by his first name, Paul. I call him Ryan by his middle name. He calls me Freddie for my middle name. So
Alfredo. So Lord Alfredo is
Lord,
Isn't it scarier?
Yeah. So anyway, so I would have put RT for Ryan Tranny, but that's just me. So this is awesome, Paul. Thank you so much for showing us this awesome technique. Let's try to find today's challenge on Discord, and then we can go back and review some of the older ones.
Is,
for day 4.
4.
People are catching up. Today is day 8, so that's definitely not today. So let's.
I don't think so.
We might only get a few, hopefully one.
Portrait challenge. Looks beautiful.
Yeah, we saw this one yesterday. It was awesome.
Yeah, the machine was a 3D machine. We have more portrait here. Looking awesome, Johan. Very, very great work. The machine from yesterday. That's so cool, Yvonne. Very well done.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So,
Lucia.
Lucia, is that Lucia?
I think that's. Is it you, Lucia?
Is this the Italian?
Is it you in the chat?
You in the chat.
In Discord?
Yeah. You and both. But yeah. So, what do you think?
I love it. I love the one with the. I love this gradient in particular. I think she's done a good job. She's really experimented, and the background start to give an idea of all the different geometric work that she's done. Probably the only thing that I'm not too fond on will be the only thing is here this white stroke because you have darker stroke inside. I would probably keep the consistency and have also a dark stroke outside. Okay. But that's personal preferences. Otherwise, I love what you're doing here. I actually need to watch again the stream because I want to learn how to do that. It's super
awesome.
Cool. And I really like the stripe.
And yeah, Lucia in the chat says that's her. Is it Lucia? Is that how you pronounce it? Lucia.
Brava. Sorry, just getting excited with Italian. By the way, Jesus can speak Italian now.
I cannot speak Italian. I can understand Italian.
It's almost fluent.
Oh, this one's really cool by Richelle. Awesome work. So it looks like there's a photo in there. Is that a starfish? Yeah, it looks like it's a beach and a starfish and the flowers. Now, I didn't watch the stream. Sorry, Paul. I was getting ready for this, so I didn't get to learn the technique. So I'm not sure how the texture wraps around in the extrusion, but if there's a way of scaling it in so that you could also see the flowers on the extrusion side, that'd be cool.
Yeah, even if it's like a bit of preference, I kind of like it.
You kind of like it?
I like it, like kind of projects it.
Fair enough.
The flowers.
Fair enough, but yeah.
And I don't know what this issue is here. That's some rendering. Probably is the machine rendering or.
Well, I mean, again, I didn't watch the stream, so I'm not sure how it was created. But I would just be careful with these black lines. If
he's pointing out to this here.
Yeah, I should be pointing. I'm pointing on the screen like they could see. Yeah, the line, the black lines. I would just be careful with that. So I'm guessing that maybe Paul talked about how to maybe wrap around the image better. So that's the only comment I have.
And let's see what we have more.
Lucia wrote, "Grazie, thanks. I will improve. Prego." See? So then,
I don't think we have.
And that's it. We can review some of the ones like the time machine ones since that's what we reviewed yesterday.
Okay.
So we have that one there, which is a really cool one, and I didn't get to see the artist's name.
He's a big fan of the time machine.
I'm a big fan of time movies, like time machine movies and like time travel movies. So, yeah.
Do we know if it's a time travel though?
Yeah, it was a time machine. That's
Oh, okay.
that's what it was called. It was like a time machine.
I just
challenge.
thought it was a magical.
No, people decided to call it magical,
Oh,
but,
okay.
but I think the challenge had time box or something in it.
Okay.
But yeah,
looks
this one
beautiful.
is excellent. And we kind of talked about this yesterday, how adding a background that just helps everything come together is really important. There were some really good examples yesterday, but they were just some plain white backgrounds. So our suggestion was to use a background that sort of matched the theme. And in this case, they chose an excellent background. The color really helps that
Beautiful
red
palette.
box pop, the yellow pop. So it's excellent work. And
Beautiful.
who was the artist who created this?
Yvonne.
Yvonne. Excellent.
Yvonne, very well done.
Excellent work, yeah.
Can I give her a thumbs up?
Yeah, we should give her all a thumbs up. So if you're on Discord, go ahead and give Yvonne a thumbs up because it is excellent.
And we reviewed
Carol
this
wrote
one.
that these are cool, but she wants to do one in PS and DN, Photoshop and Dimension. So yeah,
You
super
probably should
cool.
do one.
I'm doing a Photoshop Creative Challenge starting, mid-May I think it is. And
13th of May, something like
I
that?
think it's something like that. Mid-May I'm doing the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenges, and maybe I'll do one of these in
Yeah.
Photoshop and Dimension.
With a little dimension jump.
Yeah.
And also, do you have any video on your YouTube channel?
I have a few videos on my YouTube channel on how to. I have one specific video on YouTube on how to. It's basically like a crash course on Dimension, but it's a little outdated. It's 2 years old. Dimension has a lot of new features. Maybe I should make a new video.
Yeah, and did you do anything like with 3D effects or silver effects lately that is up?
I haven't done anything lately, but like I said, maybe it's time to.
what is that?
So this is something that I talked about yesterday. So yesterday I'm part of a Dimension, the Dimension pre-release. So I'm using the new features of Adobe Dimension, and I just created something yesterday, and that was that using the brand
A time machine, my lord, says Alec.
using the new Dimension that is not out yet, but it's I was just playing around with it. So yeah, Dimension's super cool. But let me get back to your screen, and we
That's
can
really fun.
continue working. I'll put ourselves on the right side.
I think that let's see if there is anything that we didn't see yesterday at the time. Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah, that's a new one.
RG 2020.
Yeah, so this is basically the same comment that I've had, that first of all, the time machine is excellent. I think it's great, but having a complementary background would be so much better.
Yes, I think it's very well done. I cannot tell any mistake. Usually the lights perhaps is something that I will implement on the little cube.
Mm-hmm.
Just as we can see here, we have lights on the top. I will probably give us some highlights and the background. Otherwise, everything looks fantastic.
Awesome.
And we have a simple version here, which is also very effective with the
Mhm.
initial. I think it looks beautiful. Very well done, Alicia. And let's see if there is anything more. No, those are. Oh wow, that's
Just one
cool.
more.
Very beautiful.
That
I
is
love the
super
gold. I
cool.
love the sort of transition between white and black and gold.
Well, it's transparent. So so they
transparent.
probably used the PNG so that it'll look
Oh,
like it's popping out of
wow.
the frame.
That's super cool.
Excellent. So see, like in this case, I don't mind the white because they're actually using
It's
that
telling a story.
transparency. Yeah, so super cool.
And
Love
what
it,
about
love
the
it, love
shadow?
The shadow. Yeah, the
Is it a
shadow's
bit too
good. The
dark?
yeah, it's a bit on the darker side. I would soften that up. But you know what? Maybe I wouldn't even have a shadow because it's popping out. Who knows?
Because
What
it
do you think?
saws from the front the
Yeah,
light that the
who
shadow will be
knows?
tinier. So maybe
Yeah,
try to bring
soften up the light a little
bring
bit.
the shadow a little bit closer to the actual machine, and that will help it. But I love the simple gold, black and white, timeless machine.
Carol wrote in the chat that my Pokemon Ball tutorial was great. Thank you so much. I wouldn't.
Have you done a Pokemon Ball?
Yeah, I did a Pokemon Ball in 3D in Photoshop. Not that I don't want to promote my own Photoshop stuff like on the stream, but like Photoshop, since I recorded that video, actually since Photoshop 2020, the materials work differently now, so they're more like Dimension materials, so the options are not 100% the same, so you can still follow along those older tutorials and sort of guess the name changes. For example, reflection is now called metallic, and there's a couple of
Cool.
changes. But unfortunately, it's not like a perfect conversion. So like some things are a little different. So if you're watching not just my tutorials, anybody's tutorials that are older than Photoshop 2020 and they're working on 3D, things will be different. So just keep that in mind.
And here there is a beautiful, gorgeous, with my favorite colors.
Ooh,
Showcasing my favorite colors,
cool.
which
Yeah.
is tile.
Super cool.
Machine. And here, let's see who was doing this. We have Happy 97. It looks absolutely gorgeous, and I love that you didn't want to use a background. You went straight with a PNG. Beautiful. You have no white interfering with your color palette. It looks fantastic. And that was a first attempt. See, she had a first attempt with a darker approach, and absolutely well done. I love the way that you done your second attempt and really pushed it. You can tell the difference. I mean, at the end of the day, it's always hard work. Hard work makes the difference. And we have so many here. Oh my god.
That was super cool, yeah.
Chantal! That's a full isometric house machine with a pool, an umbrella. That's so cool. Can I live there? Can you host me, please? Can I come sometimes and hang out? That's really cool. Well done. You've done such a great job. I can't believe it. That's so awesome. Look at this one as well, Steph. So we have a variation. Instead of having the round glass on top, we just have this kind of screen. I can see that you have something there.
Well, no, because I saw a question and I wanted to answer it.
Go ahead.
Carol wrote, where did the bump maps go? Now, Carol, I'm not 100% sure if what I'm about to say is totally accurate. If it's not, somebody correct me in the chat. But I believe that now you have to use the normal maps to generate the bump maps. So as far as I understand, there is no bump maps anymore, because there used to be a bump map option there. It's not there anymore, and I haven't, to be frank with you, I haven't played around with it too much to figure out what they did with it. But like I said, with the release of Photoshop 2020, the materials now work like Dimension. So I do know that Dimension uses normal maps, so I think you're going to have to use normal maps for the bump, if I'm not mistaken. But if somebody knows the answer, let me know in the chat.
And we have Seth that wants to build a previous time machine into Minecraft. Amazing. Should we go and jump back into Illustrator? We have 10 minutes in InDesign, or we want to review? There are many time machines from yesterday. Let's see if there is any new texture.
Yeah, refresh the page and maybe there's a new one.
Let's see if there is. Oh my god, look at this. Looks like a Chrysler. You guys are amazing. I love everyone works. So Only Me, this is a time machine, and you already had a little feedback from Paul. It looks fantastic. It looks almost as if it's like a motorbike.
Yeah.
Really cool. Again, maybe let's try to contextualize the background or leave it as a PNG so you can have really that pink and the gold popping out and sticking out there. But very well done, everyone. Perfect. Let's jump back into InDesign. There are a few things that I want to show you. Hopefully, I think we're done with the mockup. I'm going to go and check there in a second.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to show Carol. So I'm going to switch over to my screen really quick.
I'm some water.
Just so I can answer that question. Okay, Carol, so this is just for you. If you go into, if you just search for Adobe Standard Material Properties, so this is what Dimension uses. Photoshop didn't used to use these Adobe Standard Material Properties. Now they do. So if you scroll down, you'll see like basically what all those new sliders and names, what they actually do. So you can see the metallic option, which before in Photoshop used to be called reflection. Now it's metallic. But anyway, so there's all these different settings like height. So height could be, I guess it can be used like a bump. So I'm just reading it here as what it is, but not necessarily having tried it myself. So maybe you can use the height for the bump, but I know for sure you can use the normals because that's always been there, and here it is, a normal map. So just search for Adobe Standard Material Properties and you can see what all those new sliders and Photoshop 3D materials are for. So I hope this helps you.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Mind blowing. I'm not a 3D person, so when I see these kind of things operating, my brain goes like, that makes the sound effect. Okay, so let's go ahead. We probably have 5 minutes, which are perfect before we say our goodbyes, and we
We have a little more than that, but yeah, about 7 minutes.
yes, then you have to do your housekeeping.
Oh, you have
the
to do my
show
housekeeping.
schedules.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I'm here to remind you. We're just joking. I learned the majority of the stuff that I have that I've learned from Photoshop from this guy over here. So when I do talk about my mentor, I do have to mention you as well, because that's the beauty of living and breathing that Adobe Live community. Always learning. We had Lisa, Seth, Tony. Yesterday we had our friends Dave, and all of you.
Shout outs to Dave Clayton and his book.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
We were supposed. So we've been working with InDesign this whole stream, and our good friend Dave Clayton.
We mentioned it yesterday.
We have the book. So how do I do that in InDesign by our good friend Dave Clayton? And the cool thing about his book is that basically every page is like a whole new tip. So it's an easy read. So there's one tip on this side, another tip on that side, just one page. So very, very easy read. How do I do that in InDesign by our good friend Dave Clayton? And if you pay him,
he doesn't get paid. It's just love. That's real love.
and if you pay him $20, he'll sign the book for you. So I had to give him some cash because he wouldn't sign it for free. But it is what it is.
Oh, you're so silly. You're so silly. But let's go back here and do some work into InDesign since we have the time. So I want to show you some more 2020 features.
Ooh.
Something amazing that hopefully is going to blow your mind if you don't know it already is that we have the reverse spell check available into
that sounds interesting.
InDesign. That's a lifesaver for someone like me who I'm dyslexic. I misspell a lot of stuff and I'm really bad at spelling. I'm just gonna go ahead and delete some letters just so we know that we have some misspelling here, just because I didn't do the spell check before, so I just want to make sure that we can catch some errors. And going forward, so it's gonna go forward in the text or backwards. That's so helpful. How many of you when working in InDesign have done spell check and then because you go next, just because sometimes, especially when you do menus, certain wines or certain drinks have random names that are not real words. So of course InDesign catches them as an error. So just go skip. And then there is a real error and you forget to do it. And in order to get back to it, you have to skip to the entire document. And if you're working with an 8-page menu, by the time that I'm done with the spell check, I forgot where that thing was. So I had to note it down. Now really simple. Once you start with your spell check, let me go back here. Let me select the text. Oops, looks like I had it locked. We can skip this first one. We can skip. Oh, as I said, see, that's what happened. Blanco is simply Spanish, and because we have an English dictionary, is not is not recognizing it as English. Is picking up as a misspell. So I'm gonna go and skip until I actually find perhaps vanilla. So we just went back. We want to come back and move vanilla into vanilla. Or for example, lemonade. I just skipped lemonade. All I have to do is to click on backward, start again, and once we skip this one, we go to the ones back.
See, if you think that trick is cool, click on that like button. We got to 80 yesterday. We only have 63 today, and more people watching. Come on, guys.
So you need at least 20 more.
Yeah.
We need 20
and
likes
by the way,
more to beat yesterday.
I must say this: we get nothing for getting the likes. It's just fun for me.
It's just this has been. I think that after you hit your million on YouTube, Mr. here had hit his million subscribers on his YouTube channel. We need to show your YouTube channel. We plugged everyone.
We'll plug me at the end.
Let's plug you at the end as well. But as you can see here, that's the beauty of it. I'm gonna go ahead and keep going backward. You can see the word highlighting green, and if I want to go back and move forward, just toggle between that direction, click on forward, and we're gonna skip and move forward here. Again, we have acai, we have Frexinate, Cava, but Bitterish needs 2T. What happened if I skip it? Because I went to the next one. Not a problem. Click on backward, press on start, and we go back into bitters, and we can add here the covered word, click on change, and that's something amazing that happens here into our InDesign. Now, something that is worth mentioning is, and we're going to jump back in a second into InDesign and go into one of our assets here. Nowadays, more often than not, logo are being saved by SVG, which is a format that compress the scalability of the image. So in the past, we used to have just JPEG or PNG for logo. Now SVG supports both the transparency and the vector, and although it's compressed, and is great for use into our website. But more often than not, when your client or other designer will send you a package of file from a logo, it's going to be SVG.
Nice.
In the past, SVG wasn't supported into InDesign.
Got about 2 minutes, just giving you the heads up.
Oh no, I thought we had more. I wanted to show more stuff. I wanted to show so much more stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this artboard number 1.
I got to warn Voodoo Val for that language in the chat.
And I'm gonna use SVG desktop, use artboard number 1, and I'm gonna call it brand asset. That's fine. SVG, that's fine. And once I go into my InDesign and I bring in with Command D to place a file going to my desktop, I'm gonna be looking for the SVG file here and click on open, and I'll be able to drop it and link it into it. Now in the past you will be able to drop it in and place it, but it was compressed into a PNG, so you will lose
1 minute.
the scalability of it. Well, I think that's it for today. I wish I could have shown you more, but maybe it's gonna be another
say your
occasion.
goodbyes yet. Let me just let everybody know before you guys sign off. I gotta give you guys the schedule. Let me just quickly remind you.
You only had 5 thumbs up.
Oh man, only 5 extra ones. Come on guys, we need more thumbs up. We started the day with Paul Tranny on getting started in Adobe Spark. Then we had the amazing Voodoo Val doing the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. We continued with my good friend Christy Odom creating Lightroom presets. And then the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge with Paul Tranny. And then us doing Editorial Design. And up next is Howard Pinsky. He's going to be doing the XD Daily Creative Challenge. If I'm not mistaken, he's going to be working with Mask. So check Howard out. I hope he's got his audio on today because people were lip reading yesterday. Just messing with you, Howard. And then after Howard, we have the draw along with Kyle Webster. And the last stream of the day will be Voodoo Val once again and Cody Bears doing the design off. So that should be really, really fun. Also, if you're going to stay up all night, might as well stay up all night and check out our good friend Tony Harmer at 4 a.m. Pacific with Rufus and Stephanie. That's Tony Harmer. He's going to be talking about Photoshop tomorrow morning. So make sure you check out
But if
Tony.
you're in the UK or in Europe, it's 12 p.m. So it's much more manageable. And that's like a UK streams there. So
Yeah.
Howard is here in the chat.
Howard's in the chat.
So it's time to say goodbye. Can we show your YouTube channel?
We gotta show your stuff first. So make sure that you follow Kladi on Instagram at Printmysoul if you want to work with Kladi. If you want to learn from Kladi, then follow her at I am Kladi. And also be sure that you check out her Behance page. And she keeps asking me to show my YouTube channel. I am at the Photoshop Training channel on YouTube. As Kladi said, I just got to 1 million subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I'm publishing a video like right after this. As soon as I sign off, I'm going to go ahead and publish a new one. It's going to be on creating Instagram, the pop-out effect on Instagram. Let me just show you what that looks like. By the way, I have a new Instagram account for the Photoshop Training channel, so follow me there. But I'm showing on my next Photoshop tutorial how to create that pop-out effect. You probably have seen that before. I'm going to show you guys how to do that in Photoshop.
And I'm
Awesome.
going to say an awesome thank you for everyone to sticking with us for this 2-day stream. Hopefully we'll see you very soon here on the Adobe Live. Remember, behance.net/live for all these amazing stream with the wonderful Adobe Live community.
Thank you guys so much for joining us, for hitting that like button, even though it really doesn't matter, and for your support. I know Kladi will be back again for your Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge.
27th of April.
27th. And I know I'll be back sometime in April. I'm not sure when, but I'll be doing some
You're
compositing.
gonna be back sooner than that.
Sooner than that, yeah.
You're
But
gonna be back like in 2 weeks.
I think I'll be back in about 2 weeks, and then I'll be doing the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge mid-May. But go take a quick bathroom break, water break, whatever you need to
Coffee
do.
break.
Howard is up next doing the XD Daily Creative Challenge. She'll be talking about masks. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate having you. And
bye, everyone.
bye, guys.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
See you soon.